the Radio Forest Podcast.
Joe Bonamassa, welcome, sir.
Thanks for having me. How you doing today?
Doing pretty good. Congratulations on your Grammy nomination. That's huge.
Yeah, not bad. My fourth one. And, maybe the fourth time is the charm. Who knows? It's something that I'm very, grateful for, as always.
So what do you do to find out if you win or lose? Do you go to the Grammys? Are you invited? Do you watch it? Does somebody call you?
Well, if you're nominated in, let's say, the non-televised category, because that's what, blues, contemporary blues is, you get 2 free tickets to the pre-ceremony and the option to buy tickets to the main televised ceremony. I will be in Los Angeles at the time of the Grammys next year, so I'm going to go. I went with Eric Gales a couple of years ago, and that was the first time I was there. So we are going to go, and we're just going to see what happens. Come on. Yeah.
And this is for Blues Deluxe Volume 2. How is this a continuation of Volume 1? And we're going back a couple of decades. How do the two fit together as you put them together?
They're different records entirely. They have the same mix of covers and originals as the first, both have the same mix of covers and originals. It's a more sophisticated record. I don't think I could have pulled that off. And it was just an experiment with myself just to go, hey, am I a better artist than I was 20 years ago? And I'm just happy that we made it, and it was something to go along with the 20th anniversary of the first album, which was the first album that really connected with people.
Yeah, and on this, you've got a Fleetwood Mac, a Peter Green era cover. Have you ever held Greeny, that guitar? Have you seen that and been around it?
Oh, I've held it many times. It was offered to me, but I turned it down before Kirk Hammett bought it in 2000. It would have been 2014 is when he bought it. It had been for sale for a while. Iconic guitar, and of course, I'm a huge Peter Green, Fleetwood Mac fan.
Is it the price tag? Was it just not the right time? Do you have other similar guitars?
I had my own reasons why I didn't buy it. It wasn't a price tag issue. It wasn't anything other than just I had my own reasons why I didn't buy that. And one of the reasons is I didn't like the way Gary Moore lost it. I'm friends with his son Jack, and was friends with Gary. And I didn't like the way Gary lost it. And still don't. Didn't feel right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, on the flip side, didn't you recently have like an old guitar from the early 1900s and kind of like a better story, like this helped a woman save her house, right? Isn't that something on the flip side that just happened to you recently?
Yeah, a lady had a 1941 Martin 0045, which is a very rare guitar, mint condition, the cleanest one I've ever seen, and cleanest one other people have ever seen. And she thought it was a gift, and she didn't think it was worth much, and the money we got her saved her house from foreclosure. So everybody won. That guitar just came out today in a signature series with Martin guitar. They recreated it, and they did 45 0045. So there's only 45 in the world.
Now, do you get one of these? Do you have 0001, or how does that work out?
I really hope I get one of those.
that would be funny. You don't get the Bonamassa Martin guitar.
No, I get some prototypes, yeah.
The last time I saw you live, stage left, you had this giant box, almost like a wooden subwoofer or something like that, sitting on stage, with something spinning on top. Now I think about it, there might have been 2 of them. It definitely was old. What was that? What do you have on stage?
A giant wooden... All right, so what you're probably seeing is where the Marshall heads are living. They live in a giant box. That's the brain of the rig. And then there's the satellite amps that are on stage. And we carry a lot of stuff. I mean, it's 3 trucks full.
Yeah, sure. You've got quite a few buses and trucks, but I've never seen that on stage before. Is it just usually not shown to the crowd, or is it older style equipment that you've got up there so it looks different?
I'm not really sure what you're referring to, other than there's 4 Marshall heads in a gigantic box, and then there's a gigantic wooden box of guitars.
No, it wasn't those. It wasn't your typical, Stax or Marshalls or anything like that. It definitely looked old, and this was probably 3 years ago, but it was definitely stage left. I think there was 2 of them. It was like a wooden square box. It doesn't matter. I don't have to get into it. If it's not off the top of your head.
It may have been the Leslies you're looking at.
What's a Leslie?
Or Reese for the Hammond organ.
Well, yeah, I might have been close to Reese. It might have been close to him, but it wasn't part of it. It was his own separate thing.
Those are the Leslies. It's what makes a Hammond B3 sound like a Hammond B3. It's a spinning speaker.
Got it. Okay, yeah. That makes more sense, because that's kind of what I thought it was, like a subwoofer. But yeah, something was spinning on top. So Reese is still with you.
Yeah.
Now, Reese comes from Stevie Ray Vaughan and
Correct.
Double Trouble. How did you bridge that? How did you guys first cross paths, you and Reese?
Reese played on a couple of my solo albums before he joined the band. This will be 11 years ago, almost 11 years ago. And I asked him to join the band. He said yes. Yes, and he's been here ever since.
The name of the new album, Blues Deluxe Volume 2, that comes, of course, from a Jeff Beck group song. Where were you when you'd heard that Jeff Beck had passed? That had to have kind of rocked you, right?
I was in Santorini, Greece, making a record, or making some tracks for a record. And that's when I heard he passed. It was really sad. I mean, crazy. You never thought he would be the first to go. It was just really bad. It was just a horrible time. You know, and you're like, Jesus, that's Jeff Beck. Never thought I'd live in a world without Jeff Beck or B.B. King. And, you know, but here we are.
All right, and you also have that live at the Hollywood Bowl out. You've got a song with Peter Frampton. Can you touch on both of those real quick? Both of those are huge. You could see some video on your YouTube page of the Hollywood Bowl and also listen to that Frampton song.
Well, you know, I mean, obviously, to have a collaboration with Peter Frampton is just so great. You know, I mean, he plays so good, sings so good, and, you know, Humble Pie is my favorite band. Peter's been a friend for over 20 years. And then the Hollywood Bowl, I think, is one of our crown jewel DVDs, for sure. It was such an undertaking, but we were really very happy with the result.
Now, I used to spend some time where you grew up. I spent a lot of time in Elmira, Sayre, Horseheads, up in the Finger Lakes in the summer. And I also was born in 1977. So lately, I've been finding myself telling people, hey, I'm pushing 50 here. How have you been with us getting closer to that 50 number? How have you been on this?
I'm almost 50. You can only do what you do, and age is a mindset more than a number, you know? Interesting that we're the last generation, Gen X, to grow up without a cell phone in a school, without a metal detector in a school. We graduated high school, you know, before Columbine. The world changed after that. We were the last people not on the internet at all, pretty much through high school. It's a different time.
Talking to Joe Bonamassa. He's playing at the Morrison Center tonight here in Boise, Idaho. Your voice on this new album, Blues Deluxe Volume 2, Joe, I think it's absolutely fantastic. Did you do anything different?
Well, you know, singing is a journey. And, you know, I mean, the more you do it, the better you get. And that's kind of been where I've been for the last 20 years. I mean, it's repetition, step and repeat, working on your head voice, working on your technique. You know, you end up getting good results after that.
Well, you really pushed it. I really appreciate it. Your voice sounds fantastic. It's Joe Bonamassa live at the Morrison Center in Boise. It really did. A couple of songs. I was like, that's not Joe. He's got a guest thing. And I'm looking at the liner notes. I'm like, wait, I don't see anybody else.
That's me.
Yeah, that's you. It's really good. I like it a lot. Congratulations on the Grammy nomination for Blues Deluxe Volume 2. He talked about the limited edition Martin 00045, only 45 of them being made. And then also check out the live at the Hollywood Bowl. Bonamassa, a pleasure to talk to you, man. I really appreciate the phone call.
I appreciate you doing this. Thanks. We're looking forward to Boise.